What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. And this is your Monday night transfer news show. We have got plenty to discuss, plus updates coming in the last hour on Lenny Yoro's injury and how that's going. So we definitely want to discuss that. I want to talk about Ivan Toney, which you would have seen from the graphic. Quite a few credible journalists discussing him as a potential option for Man United, and quite a few people as well dismissing it. I want to talk about what he could bring to Manchester United and what certain red flags would be involved with bringing someone like Ivan Toney to the club. Also, we've seen probably by now online and on Twitter, etc., that all the lads are back in training. So I want to discuss what kind of impacts they're going to have on the team, who's going to be a little bit sluggish to come back into the first team, who's going to be ready, what are the fitness levels going to be like, and as I mentioned before as well, the Yoro injury update. So he's had successful surgery, which is fantastic news, but we will talk about that more in depth. And as I say, the headline of the show is Ivan Toney. Loads of reports from the likes of The Athletic, from Laurie Whitwell, a couple of other journalists as well who are relatively credible, that United, that's Scottish, United may strike a deal for Ivan Toney from Brentford. I sound like, is it Jim White from Sky Sports News? But no, back to Mancunian. Ivan Toney may strike a deal for him towards the end of the window. I can't speak. Jesus! It's probably, let me tell you a quick story actually. This is what I'm stressing in my head. So, before I'll talk about Toney in a minute and everything, but I'll give you a very quick story at the start of the show. So I've come in before, nipped out for about half an hour or something. I've come back, right, and I've already told cat stories on this. Anyone who's watched this for, let's say, the past 6 months will know the story I told when my cat escaped, went onto the shed. I climbed up to get it off, had to chuck the cat then down to me mum, and then I basically fell off my shed, completely off it, into a bush on my back. So that was a disaster. Now, I've not had a similar situation this time, but I have come back from being out. I've come in, I've walked upstairs, and so where we have our TV, it's up quite high. So it's not like usually people just have it like regular, like medium level, eye level, it's there. We have it quite high up on like 2 sets of drawers or 2 sets of units, basically. So it's high, it's near the ceiling, right? And we've always had this issue where the cat just keeps jumping up there, and he's quite a big cat, you know what I mean? It's quite, if I was a cat, it'd be me. It's quite like a chubby cat. So he's waiting, he moves about, and he's quite clumsy, and he knocks shit off. And he always jumps up there, and we always go mad at him and say, get down, and we move him, etc., etc. Obviously, he decided to, if I fuck this, I'm going to rebel against these two. I'm going to wait until this cunt goes out. I'm going to jump up there. I'm going to knock the TV off, and I'm going to smash it. That's what I'm going to do. And then when he gets back, he's going to walk in the room, and I'm going to be sat there licking me fucking paws like nothing's happened. So that's what I've walked into, basically. Come home, walked upstairs, came in. He's sat there where the TV was. I didn't even notice at first. I've looked up like that, and I've gone, you all right? Like you do. You greet your pets, don't you? And I was like, hello. And then looked, didn't even acknowledge what had gone on. He sat in the space where the TV is, gone like that, took a second look and gone, oh my God. So I'm like, please don't be smashed. Please don't be smashed. Please don't be smashed. Picked it up. I was like, oh, it seems okay. Can't really, because it's a black screen, so you can't really see anything. Put it up on the shelf, on the shelving unit, sorry. Turned it on. Disaster. Absolute disaster. I'll put it on the screen, actually. If anyone's in, I know we're here for United Talk, and I promise you I will get into transfers. But let me show you this TV, because honestly, I was fucking gutted. So now I'm going to have to spend 350 quid because the cat decided to quite literally Wayne Rooney my TV off the fucking, off the shelving unit. So I am now a TV down, which is always, you know, I mean, I don't have to tell you that it's an absolute disaster when these kind of things happen. So yeah, sorry for the people on TikTok. You won't get the benefit of seeing the picture. So jump on YouTube if you do want to see it. I'm just going to put it on there now. Yeah, that's what my TV looks like, people. That is what the cat is. He has literally Wayne Rooney'd my TV. And so yeah, that is going to the TV graveyard, as you will. And yeah, so let's try and make it a positive show, because blood pressure's skyrocketing today. I can't emphasize that. quite enough. But yeah, somehow we're going to segue from my cat smashing my TV to Ivan Toney back to transfer talk and discussions. Get your thoughts in on that TV if you want. So yeah, we keep seeing credible journalists and people keep pushing this kind of narrative, and not even a narrative, but pushing this story about him. That a deal could be done towards the end of the window. Now, if we're to sit here and discuss the dynamic of him coming in, how would he affect the team? Would it ruin the harmony within the squad, bringing in someone like an Ivan Toney? Because if you sit here and isolate it, him as a player, I think he's fantastic. I think he holds the ball up really well. His combinational play is good. He brings other attackers into the game. When you need that kind of striker like Brentford do, they play with a back five. Sometimes they're isolated. He can do that role really well, but he can also run in behind. He's very intelligent. He's great on both feet. His penalties, which I don't need to tell you, are phenomenal, which we saw in the Euros, but we've seen it for Brentford in the Premier League time again and time again and time again. He is one of the better strikers in the Premier League. He is. He's up there with the qualities of Watkins, of Haaland. I don't care what anyone says. He's right up there. So should United be interested in these kind of players? Always. But is it as simple as that? No, because Ivan Toney last season dropped off a bit. So he had everything going on with the betting allegations, and obviously he got suspended for that. So he was out for quite a while. Came back and he had a bit of a drought for Brentford, but there's still a player in there. I still think, touch like Velcro. We've seen that in the game against us last season, if anyone remembers that. From a technical standpoint, he's good. He's very, very good. Now, price-wise, that's another topic. That's another thing you can discuss. Brentford saying 50-60, I believe, but this is a guy who's got a year left on his deal, so he's going to go for a free next season. Now, whether other clubs are kind of waiting and being patient and waiting in the wings until it gets to the end of August to then say, because it'd be stupid, as soon as the transfer window opens and go, oh, we'll give you 70 million. Brentford are probably going to go, yeah, we'll take that. What you do is, if you're a smart and you have some business kind of acumen, you wait until the end of August and you go, we'll give you 40. And if Brentford go, no, we'll keep it, it's like, right, okay, well, he's going to go on a free next season and you'll get fuck all. So do you want to take the 40 now, or do you want to have nothing in a year's time and an unhappy player? And that's how you get your bargaining chips, in essence. So I think a lot of clubs are waiting for that, and I think you're going to see maybe it kick off in the next 2 weeks, I'd suggest. That maybe some clubs will surprise you and go in for Ivan Toney, because he's been very, very quiet around him. But like I said, we've had good journalists. Journalists we've had on the show before who are reporting that United are interested. There's definitely an interest there, but we need to make sales. Now, in terms of the harmony of the squad, we've already got Joshua Zirkzee and we've got Rasmus Højlund. But I remember a lot of you guys who are watching now, and a lot of people on TikTok as well, were saying at the time, before we signed Zirkzee, we need an experienced player in there. Maybe you can get someone. A Zirkzee can play across the front line anyway, so he can play as a 10, he can play as a winger, and he can play as that obviously false 9 position, and he could probably play in a partnership with a Højlund or a Toney. So that wouldn't worry me too much. I think he'd still get enough game time, even though we do have a lot of attackers, but we've also got a lot of games next season. So then the question is, why spend £70 million on Rasmus Højlund? And then, he does, I think he did relatively well last season, all things considered. The season that we had, how isolated he was at times, the wingers don't provide any service for him. It's his first season at United. He's only 21 years old, and there was a big price tag on his head, so there was a lot of pressure, and he was the only fit available striker. So, all things considered, people try to tell you he's shit or whatever, and opposition fans will mock him, but we know the crack with Rasmus. We know the situation. I think he did relatively well. And I definitely think there is a player in there. And even in that brief flash in pre-season, when he scored that goal against Arsenal, you could tell already the coaching that Ruud van Nistelrooy is doing with his striker is brushing off. It's working. And again, 21, got loads of room to improve. So I would be a little bit concerned bringing Toney in, because yes, there is enough games, but I think you would start to stun Højlund's development, and I don't really see a 2-striker system where you're going to play them together. So you then demote Rasmus Højlund, because Toney's going to want to play the majority of games, and Rasmus becomes second fiddle. And maybe some people will be ruthless and they'll say you need a competitive edge in football. Right? You need a competitive edge in football. You need players to push each other up. Always back in the day when we were playing 4-4-2 systems, you would talk about having, Berbatov, Rooney, Tevez, etc. And then in the 90s, Tede, Ole, Cole and York, 4 strikers there for, fighting for the positions. So I take that point and I agree with it. But I don't know. It does my initial gut instinct. That's what I'm a bit like. I'm not sure about this one, but I'd love to get everyone else's thoughts on it. So let's see what the lovely people in the YouTube chat are saying, and then I'll also go to TikTok comments, even though there's Liverpool fans in there as well. I'll happily read them out. Dan Fenton saying, I would love Toney from Brentford, but we do need more players in centre-back and centre defensive midfielder. Yeah, it's certainly not a priority, is it, Dan? And that's why I'm saying towards the back end of the window, I think you may see some mileage on that. Yes, would be great to get Toney after right-back and centre-back and a holding midfielder. Yep, so the same kind of narrative. I understand. Feels like I've walked in on a double act. Double Dan. Wow. Dino saying I'd sell Hannibal, McTominay, Ericsson and Casemiro and bring in Ugarte, De Jong around £180 wages. If he wanted £180 wages, wow, he's on less than minimum wage then, Frankie De Jong. If he's happy with that, fucking sign him up right now. That's what I'd say. I think he's on about 600k at Barcelona. Actually, I'd go far to say I think Frankie De Jong is the highest paid player in La Liga. I'm pretty sure on that. So, yeah. If he's willing to accept £180, let's take it. I think Toney will go to Spurs or maybe Newcastle as a Wilson replacement. But then will he want to play second fiddle to Isaac? I think he wants a guaranteed spot. I'm surprised Arsenal haven't gone in for Toney. I'm really surprised because you've got Gabriel Jesus. I know they've got Havertz who can play there. But I feel like they need an out-and-out striker. I do. I still think Havertz is a good player. But I don't know. I think Toney would bring a lot for them. And maybe they do go for him towards the end of the window. 180,000 I meant. Yeah, I know, Dino. I was only winding you up. I hope Richard's okay. Been a bit worried about him today. His birthday, but he's been MIA. Oh, shit, yeah. Completely forgot about that. I said I'm going to sing him happy birthday. Well, hopefully he tunes in. Or if he's watching later on, happy birthday, Richard. And if he was live, I would have sang a song for you. But yeah, let's hope Richard's all good. I'm sure he's fine. He's probably having a gin somewhere. You guys couldn't compete with us, and we had our second and third team on. If you are discussing, I don't know if you're a Liverpool fan or a United fan, but if you're discussing pre-season, like, it's not even worth arguing about, is it? Let's be honest. We beat you last year in pre-season, or in Ten Hag's first thingy, wasn't it? And also, we knocked you out of the FA Cup and went on to win it in Klopp's farewell tour. So if we're really weighing it up, for any Liverpool fans who are in TikTok right now, what really matters? You know, Klopp's farewell tour being ruined by us and us knocking him out. And they didn't beat us once last season, despite us having this astronomically bad season. They didn't beat us once. Or does a pre-season game where, you know, there's changes to both teams, huge amounts of changes, or does that matter? Liverpool fans will tell you the latter, but they're talking absolute nonsense. Let's have it out right now. So, yeah. Anyway, Ivan Toney. Yes or no? What have we put? I put a poll up about Rabiot, sorry. So I'll go back to that in a moment. Punch Paint says, let's get Toney and worry about the locker room later goals first, feeling second. Okay. Cutthroat there from Punch Paint. Right, should we move on to Adrian Rabiots then? Because I think everyone's made the points clear about Ivan Toney, to be fair. And I agree, but listen, remember me doing this, what's the date today? The 5th of August, right? Remember me doing this video right now, and we will come back to this towards the end of August, the 28th to the 31st. And I'm going to reference this video. I'm going to say, remember what I said about Ivan Toney that was going to thinger? Keep an eye on it. So, yeah, that's just one to put in the, make a mental note of that. On to Adrian Rabiots. Very different type of player, completely different position, completely different situation. Although Toney will be on a free next season. Rabiot is on a free now and is available. However, Fabrizio Romano has mentioned that Rabiot is asking for £7 million a year in terms of salary, and his agent wants a decent signing on fee as well. I'm not sure if that's still his mum. It probably is, because she's a money-grabbing so-and-so. So it's quite a pricey package to bring Rabiot in. So you're talking about £150,000 to £200,000 a week, I think. I'm just doing quick math off the top of my head, plus little bonuses and incentives here and there. He also mentioned that this is a deal that could be done really quick, because he's a free agent. These deals go like that. As long as you give him the salary that you want, and a little signing on fee is yours. But then how long would he want? Would he want a big contract? You know, he's 29 now, I believe. So when you get to that kind of age, similar to Bruno's situation, let's say you want, and De Bruyne, you want a lengthy contract and, 5 years, and that's your biggest one that you're going to get, and then you're going to go on to one with 2-year extensions, etc. So he wants a big deal. Is this a deal we should push? Obviously, this is another one that's not a priority. It's kind of a reoccurring theme at the moment. But Rabiot, I think, is a good, solid player. I think Deschamps chooses him for France for a reason. And he's always in that midfield alongside N'Golo Kante. Because he's solid. He does his job really, really well. Technically efficient. Strong on the ball. Offers that balance with obviously being a left footer as well, which Ten Hag loves. And Ten Hag is a fan of this player. There's no getting away from it. Last season, we were speaking to Rabiot. I think John Murtough actually flew out to Turin to try and get this deal concluded, and then came back with his knickers in his suitcase. So that didn't happen. So it's always been a case of finances, and that for that reason alone, I don't think United are going to push it unless he drops his wage demands a little bit. But it also depends on what Rabiot wants, right? I haven't really seen that side of things. I know other clubs are interested. I know Liverpool are interested, and there's a couple of other clubs. Maybe you'll end up signing for one of them. I think Liverpool may need midfield reinforcements anyway, especially if you end up selling Endo or whatever. So maybe you will end up going to Liverpool, but reports suggest that he wants to go to United, and he knows that Ten Hag likes him, and there's interest on both sides there. That I can say is absolutely concrete. But would Rabiot accept a lesser role in the team? Will he be like, okay, you're going to be not an understudy because that's important. He's older than Mainu, but you're gonna be the second choice behind Kobbie Mainu. Would he be happy with that, or would he be like, no, I want to go to a team in Europe where I'm going to play the majority of games, and then the youngster that they have there can be an understudy to me? Maybe he expects that. This guy's played for big teams. He starts for France national team, and the quality that they've got. Played for PSG, played for Juventus, so he's a good player. He's a very good player. I just don't think United are going to do it, and I don't think Rabiot would accept a lesser role. But and then the question is to be, which I'll throw back to you guys again, because this is just much as our show as it is mine. Do we have enough cover? Do we have enough cover in that role? Zach's saying we should get Awate. Awate's priority, mate. There's no two ways about that. We need to get that deal done. He is first priority. I'm talking about this Rabiot deal as like a secondary, third kind of signing. But do we need depth there? Because we know the 10 position, we're fine, right? Bruno, Mount, sweet. The striker position, Xerxes, Rasmus Højlund, fine. Right-hand side, Ahmad can play there, Garnacho can play there, even Bruno, Mount, Antony, Sancho. I mean, you're so stacked in that area, it's unbelievable. Same with the left side, Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho can play there. So attacking-wise, you're absolutely sweet. Then when you start getting into the second half of the team, that's when you start seeing depth issues. So obviously Amrabat was only on loan last season, so we've only got Mainu really as your rate. I know Mount can play there, and maybe he will play a few games there, but Mainu's your main starter, so maybe you need a little bit of cover. The 6, no question about that. Casemiro's going to start our season as the main central defensive midfielder. I don't believe that should happen. I think we should get an Awate deal through the door, and then Casemiro will bring him in when we need to. Again, whether he'll be happy with that or not, it's, football's cutthroat. You're not performing to the levels that we need. Awate comes in, your secondary choice. Sweet. Left back, I think we'll be all right, because if we bring Rosario in as right back cover as well, you've got Shaw, you've got Malacia, I think you'll be okay. Centre backs, we know the crack with that. We need to bring De Ligt in, and then we've got De Ligt, Yoro, Maguire, Lissandro. I'd be all right with that. And then goalkeepers, so you're absolutely fine. In the midfield and defence, we definitely need reinforcements there. And if we need to add Rabiot to it for extra depth, we've seen the injuries that we picked up last season. We've seen the competitions kind of extending now with the Champions League formats and Europa League formats. And there's going to be 3 games a week at times, like consistently. You're going to need a big squad. Ten Hag, don't forget, in pre-season referenced this. He said, survival of the fittest. That's what it's going to be, survival of the fittest. So you need a chunky squad. Look at City's team. They're bringing players like Kovacic and Mateus Nunes into the midfield, who would probably start for us, would definitely start for us, and they're bench options for City. So if you can add depth and quality like Rabiot, maybe it is a no-brainer when you put it in that kind of perspective. I've just kind of convinced myself in my own argument, which is bizarre. Dan Errington's saying Rabiot turned United down several times as we wouldn't pay the wages he wanted, so we need to move on. Rabiot has Glazers panic buy written all over it. His mum's bank balance. Chivy saying Rabiot's a really good player, but will demand a starting role. That's my issue. Exactly. Great minds think alike, Chivy. Best looking 86-year-old on the planet. Let it be known. Rabiot's decent for France because Kante does the bulk of the work. Well, yeah, will we see the same systematic issues that we see in the team anyway if we bring Rabiot in? You know, maybe his quality will be dragged down because of that as well. We've seen it with Maine, who was stretched at times. Like, he should be focusing on his game, and because of what's going on behind it, he's got a burning house behind him, and he's trying to push forward, and he's like, I don't think I can lead this. I think we need to kind of put this fire out. Niall saying we need a centre-back urgently. Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Dan saying we don't need Rabiot, we need Duarte and Amrabat. I would get him back for me. Well, that's the thing. I think financially they probably both work out the same. If Rabiot's wanting 7 mil a year, we could sign Amrabat for 13 mil. It's not too far off. And plus, obviously, Rabiot what's signing on fee and his agent and stuff. I'd take 20 mil and get Casemiro wages off the books now. I'd also do that. So we doubled down on Amrabat. Happy days. Milan are in for Batiste, centre defensive midfielder Cardozo, who was top 5 centre defensive midfielders in La Liga last season, and he's 22, and Milan seem to be quoted 30 million euros for him. We should be looking at guys like that. Yes, but it's Duarte, innit? So Duarte, and then they start going into other kind of options and reserve options and then kind of players potentially. I mentioned it on the show earlier on today. The majority of you guys were already in there, so at the risk of repeating myself, I think that deal will get done if we manage to sell McTominay. I think if we don't sell McTominay, I think it's going to go on for a while. I think it's going to go on for a couple of weeks back and forth. But PSG officially announced that they signed João Neves today. So they almost need to sell him in that sense. They've got Vitinha. They've got João Neves. I mean, they've got really good players. Fabian Ruiz. They've got really good players in that midfield. So Uarte's, he knows probably himself that he's not going to get a lot of game time, and he's looking at the United situation. And if I was, I think it's very smart. If I was there, I'm looking at thinking I'm starting every single game because there's no way I'm going to perform as bad as Casemiro is doing right now. And on top of that, I'm going to offer a lot more energy. I'm going to cover a lot more grass. And I believe I'm as good, if not better, right now. And there's potential to grow into the team, and there's a lot of potential around there. So I think that's how Uarte's seen it, and that's why he's not too fussed about Champions League football and stuff. So interesting one midfield, isn't it? Always keeping up with developments on this. So you know, guys, we'll be live on it anyway. Now, back to the main squad. Everyone is back in training, as we've seen pictures from today. Sam put them up on the Instagram. For anyone who follows on Instagram, if you don't, please do. Real Reds Talk and Twitter and TikTok. People are already on TikTok right now, but subscribe to YouTube as well if you are on TikTok. Everyone back in training. Dalot, Bruno, Xerxes, Lissandro, Shaw, Mainu, and the rest. Probably a couple who I've already missed out. Sorry. We need these players available for City and Fulham, because I think we are going to have our arse handed to us on a plate against City if we don't have the majority of these players in the team. Now, how fit they are, it's impossible. It's impossible for me to make a judgment on this because I haven't seen them. I'm not a fly on the wall in Carrington, so I can only go off what reports are saying, and I think players like Lissandro, Garnacho, Shaw, Mainu, maybe might come on as subs. I think Bruno will start because we just know what Bruno's like. I think Xerxes isn't going to start. You kind of saw Eric Ten Hag from one of the interviews that he did. He was talking about Xerxes saying he's going to need time to adapt. He's not ready to be chucked straight into the fire. So and he wants these players to have patterns and images in the head from pre-season and the work that they've done there. So I'd imagine Jadon Sancho's probably going to start as your false nine. As much as people might not like it, I think that's the way that it's going to go. But we like Lissandro, Shaw, Mainu, Bruno, Dalot, we need in that team. Because the impacts they have individually and collectively in our team in the way we want to play. I mean, you put Shaw at that left-hand side and Lissandro, it's just so much better for progression, for composure. Shaw and him in particular offer a lot. Bruno, no-brainer. Dalot has to start. I mean, I can't, because if Wan-Bissaka goes, who the fuck are you going to start at right back? That's the question. So, Dalot, yeah, I think he'll be up to speed. He's quite a fit lad. He's quite dedicated. So, I'm sure he's not had too many, Krispy Kreme donuts or cans of Coke during the summer. I think he'll be fit, firing and ready. But, yeah, I'm just praying, touch wood, if you can, anyone who's watching, and not that kind of wood, that none of these players get injured or pick up a slight knock, because if they do, that's when the season really could go tits up in it. If then main players start picking up ones like what Højlund's got and Euro, then it starts to really fucking ring the alarm bells. But just quickly on Lenny Euro. Let me just get a quick swing of this. We had some breaking news on Euro just as I was going live, actually. It's happened a few times this in the past couple of days. Lenny Euro has today had a successful surgery on his foot injury. His rehabilitation starts now, with Euro returning to fitness in around 3 months. So, yeah, not great. Metatarsal, similar to what Lissandro did, and he had a bit of precaution coming back, so I hope we don't have similar issues there. I hope the medical staff are really taking care of him, and do their due diligence and don't rush him back, because we don't need to rush him back, especially if we signed a lit. We should be okay. Gutted for him, absolutely gutted for him. I'm sure he'll be devastated. I think sometimes with these injuries, players struggle a bit more mentally than physically. I think the rehab will be like, okay, it is what it is, but it gets repetitive. Your band work, you're not playing. You want to kick a ball, you can't kick a ball for months. You'll be on crutches for a little bit. And look, it's the first significant injury of his career. This kid's only 18 years old. He's a centre-back. He's played quite a lot of games for Lille, all things considered, and in the Champions League. And this is his first big setback. So mentally, this is where you see where the player's at. It's a little bit challenging. First big setback, you come to United, massive signing, paid a decent amount of money for you. You looked good from the cameos that I've seen of him. I'm not going to lie, looked pretty decent. And then it's like, boom, injured. 3 months, you're going to miss quite a few games. Probably like 15 games or something. Almost half the season, really, when you think about it. Quite a lot of games to miss. But Kobbie Mainoo had the same thing last pre-season. Got an injury against Real Madrid. Was out, came back in November, and just looked incredible. Obviously, we'd rather have him from the start of the season, but at least he's had the surgery now, and at least he's on the mend, and everything's gone successful as it stands. Fingers crossed. He'll be okay, because I think he looked really promising. It's hard to say just in pre-season, because I think you remember Andreas Pereira notoriously looked so good for us year in, year out in pre-season, and then when the season started, he just looked like a bag of shit. No offense, Pereira. Can you imagine if we get him on the channel one day and he just references that thing? But it's my point. Pre-season's hard, but he looked really good. Looked good on the ball, was quick, got that physicality about him. He got a long reach like Wan-Bissaka, can get around a player. And he's smart as well. He seems like a smart boy. So, gutted for him, but he'll be back in the team in no time. I mean, honestly, how quick the games will go by, because there's so many per week. It'll be October before you know it, October, November, and he'll be back into the team on the bench. Dan Fenton, we all know it's sell to buy, unfortunately. Hopefully we get Iwati in. He's a top player in the centre defensive mid-role. Punch Paint, I'm hearing McTominay's open to Fulham now, and that'll be our transfer domino effect. The issue is with Fulham, if they're willing to offer what we want, because we're saying 30 mil. I don't think they're going to reach that, but maybe they'll compromise and they'll say 25. And yeah, we'll leave it at that, and we'll go reinvest that money. Be interested to see if there's other targets we're ready to switch to. Getting late now. Yeah, we haven't really seen any other ones, have we? I mean, Yusuf Fofana in terms of the midfield has been mentioned. Maybe that's a late one that we swoop for. I think he would be more suited systematically to help Kobbie out. But I'd be okay with either. Xerxes should start on Saturday. Bruno Mainoo, Dalot, Martinez, Shaw, Ahmad, Garnacho. Get them in. I don't see Xerxes starting on Saturday. I think he'll come off the bench. I agree. Dan Errington saying, can you see Xerxes having more game time in central or wide right? I think he's going to be utilised in a lot of positions, to be honest with you. Thiago Motta, his boss at Bologna, who now is the coach at Juventus, described him as a 9.5. He can be that striker, that box striker if you need him to, but he does like dropping and getting onto the ball, linking play, like a Firmino, basically, like Benzema does sometimes. Obviously, they're a lot further on in their career than Xerxes is, but he's still got decent numbers for the role that he plays. It was similar to Rasmus when we brought him in, and he is at Bologna. He's a very important player for Bologna. Don't forget, we signed him for 34 plus agent fees. Like it's a decent signing. He'll need time to adapt, but I think again, technically, Xerxes, anyone who's watched him, his dribbling is outstanding for his size and his height, and what he offers is definitely something different to Rasmus Højlund. And again, let's go back before the transfer window even opened. What was the majority of us saying? Strikers, we would like a different profile to what Rasmus offers. Now, some people were saying more of a target man. Some people were saying, you know, like a Xerxes, a Firmino, and that's exactly what we've got. And I think what that does, in my opinion, when you bring in someone like a Xerxes, look at the effects that Firmino has with Mane and Salah. 9 times out of 10, you take Firmino out of that team, they don't look as good. He's an integral cog. He's the nucleus of that attacking system. Put Xerxes in there, I think the effect he'll have on other players will be more important. So your Marcus Rashfords, your Garnachos, the ones who are very direct and they like to get a shot off, I think he'll become the support system for them. But then it's like, well, you're hoping they're in good form, because if they're not, then almost Xerxes becomes not pointless, but he's done his side of the thing. And, you know, you need Rashford and Garnacho when your wingers to put in the numbers. Everyone as a collective, like we said on last night's show, to be putting in the numbers. Toney is a must, says Mark Goodwin. I don't see Rasmus being back before Christmas. Watch this space. Oh, no, he's out. He's only out for 6 weeks. He'll be back in mid-September, so I think we'll be okay with that. Unless you have any insider information, then, yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's only 6 weeks. And then he'll be back. But I am a little bit worried about Rasmus, because he had an injury at the start of last season. He's got a hamstring injury now. So maybe the more these kind of things happen, the more you're like, maybe you do need to bring in an Ivan Toney. Maybe you do. So Xerxes will get more assists than goals. Not necessarily. Like, if we take a look at his stats at Bologna, I think they're very close to each other. So I think it was like 8 goals and 10 assists or something. Let me just double check it, because I don't want to. At Bologna, no, I was a bit off there. 11 goals and 4 assists. But it's not just about. A lot of people take them stats like assist as just like, oh, if he doesn't get more than 4 or whatever, then he's not doing it properly. He's supplying the attacks when he drops deep. So it could be the assist to the assist or whatever, which, you know, you can really get technical with that and stats and stuff. But he's what I'm trying to say is he's not a selfish player. We have a lot of selfish forwards in United's team. Rashford's selfish, Anthony's selfish, Garnacho's selfish. Xerxes is not that. So then your balance comes to the squad more. And I'm telling you, that is why they've signed him. I'm telling you that's why they signed him. It maybe in all comps, actually, I've matches 19. Where's his all comp stats? Let me go on transfer market. Career stats. There we go. Yeah, so, yeah. Career stats. Serie A, 13 goals, 7 assists for Xerxes. So 20 goal involvements in total in a Bologna team. That's quite good. You know, if you can bring that to Man United, happily take that. 13 goals, 7 assists. Perfect in the league. Yeah, you take that one, yeah? He'll be back in 3 weeks, pushed too soon, and then he'll be out. I see him a bit like Luke Shaw. Well, yeah, maybe that prediction might be right. But, again, it's the hope that kills you. You're looking at it and you're saying, well, they've made some changes to the backroom staff. You would think, you know, in terms of medical staff, they've readjusted some people there and they've tweaked it and it's more efficient. You're hoping. Because if it's not, and we have the same injury issues again, my God, I can't deal with another season like that. I'm not sure about you guys. We have a good squad of options starting to form, Dan, if they can stay fit. Obviously, nowhere near complete yet, but can see the direction. I think Mount with Xerxes would be good. Mount's off-the-ball work rate, underlapping runs, and pressing looks very compatible with Xerxes. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different options we've got now and different systems you can tweak and set up with. Whereas we was very rigid last season. It was one style. We wouldn't tweak it. I think with the players that you brought in, if you wanted to, I don't think Tanner's going to do this, but you could switch to a back 5 and have a 2-striker partner system like Inter did with Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez. Or if you want to go with someone who like a 9.5 and you want inverted wingers with Garnacho and Rashford, then you can go like that. Or you can have an out-and-out striker and bring Ahmad onto the right and push Mount out onto the left and have more creative wingers who are going to supply for the striker. There's options there, but midfield and defence need to be sorted. Simple as that. Please do smash the like on the video, by the way, if you can, and subscribe to Real Red Stock. We're on 6,331 subs on the road to 10,000. Can't wait to get that. I think I might actually cry on camera if we hit 10k. So that'd be amazing. Pick up all the community as well. And yeah, like I said, I'll double check if anything's broke before I head off. United are doing trading card collection. Okay. Udinese signing Alexis Sanchez. Loads of other teams seem to be doing stuff at the minute. There's stuff going on with Danny Olmo. I think Fulkrug's signed for West Ham. Newcastle have put an opening offer, for Mark Guéhi. So that's an interesting one. I would have liked him. I think he's a very good centre-back and he had a fantastic Euros. Yeah, Guéhi I would like, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen now. Anyway, people, I have rambled on for too long. Appreciate you joining me on 7 o'clock tonight's show. Of course, if anything breaks tonight, we'll go live again. You know the crack. But apart from that, we're back at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I'm not sure when we're going to do the big season preview, and we need to discuss that. But obviously, we're going to have the preview for the City game. Again, that's probably Thursday, I'd say. We've got a guest lined up who we've been trying to get on for a bit, so excited to do that. And we're trying to get more guests on. And also keep an eye out for members videos as well. There'll be another one dropping this week. So plenty of content, plenty of interaction. That is exactly what we want. And normal football is almost back. So yeah, appreciate you, brothers. Thank you very much. Lots of love. Subscribe, like, check us out on socials, and I'll see you in the next one.